Hello, I'm Rick Stivers. I'd like to welcome you to YoungMartin'sReels. You haven't seen me in a few days, and the reason being I've been busy at not working on videos for you guys, but fixing reels. So I knocked out 3 Zebco 33s, old models, and these were pretty much everything I worked on was a basket case. Okay, these were all picked up by Ken at a estate sale this weekend, and I told him I'd take care of them. So I got those done. I got this Mitchell 400 knocked out for him. I got this South Bend 66 done, and this Pro Staff 2020. Got those taken care of. I got one left to do for him, and it's a Ryobi reel. I believe that I did a little research, and it's an SX2, even though it doesn't have any badging on it. That's what it appears to be. Let me take it out of the bag. I have a feeling that Chris, or maybe one of the rest of you guys, can ID this for me a little better, but it's missing the badges on both sides, but it appears, it says Ryobi across the top, and I checked online, and it appears to be a Ryobi SX2. It's a nice little reel, but it's really tight, so I've got a lot of work left to do on that one. That's one I'll do a video on, I'm pretty sure. So that's what I did. Well, I haven't finished up for Ken yet. I also did this Pin 309 teardown, and got it all cleaned up and almost functional again, but I had to order parts for it. So notice the line guide is not turning, even though the rest of it is turning nice and free again. This thing was just plumb full of sand. But the parts that were bad are this gear, and I don't know if you can see it. Maybe, but it's missing 3 teeth off of this gear. And the reason it's missing 3 teeth off of this gear is because the pawl was worn all the way down, and it jammed inside the worm drive and jammed that up, and then somebody tried to power through it and it stripped off those teeth. So parts are on order for this are a new pawl, a new worm drive, a new worm gear, a new idler gear, and the new main drive gear off of the spool. Put it all together, it's about $32 worth of parts. So we're looking at a Pin 302. Is it worth putting $32 worth of parts in? Ken thought so, so he agreed to it. So that one will be forthcoming soon. All right, now we're down to what I really spent my weekend doing. And that was working on this ABU Garcia Abumatic 170 and this 280. They are really sweet little reels. They belong to Don Tyson, and he sent them to me, asked me if I could take a look at them, and I'm going to take them apart. I've got them functional now, but we're going to still take them apart, show you how to service them, how to take them all the way apart, because that's what we do here. But in both cases, he was missing parts out of both of those 2 reels, which is keeping them from functioning. I now have them up and running. The 170, I was able to find one at the flea market this weekend for $2, and it had the parts in it that I needed to fix this one. At the same flea market, I picked up it's an old Mitchell rear drag reel that was completely corroded up inside, non-functional. But what I did find in it was a spring that I was able to use to fix this one. Is it a valid fix? It works fine. But if it were me and I could locate one, I would probably try to find the original spring for it if this was something I wanted to fish all the time. But I do have it up and running for him. I don't have the part for it, so I had to improvise. So we're going to go through these, and I'll show you what we've done. Also, when I didn't film either one of these coming apart originally with all the stuff that was in them, but I did film the 170 parts reel. I filmed taking it apart. I'm going to show you bits and pieces of that. There won't be any audio during them because I was doing that in front of my TV while I was watching an old TV show. So the audio I'll cut out, but you can see a little bit of what's in it. And I'm going to take you in and take this apart, and I'll show you what's going on. These two reels are different enough that I'm going to do two different videos on them, so that you can see what they look very similar when you look at them, but they really are put together in there's many differences in them. So I'm going to do two different videos, one on the 170 and one on the 280. So we're going to move the 280 out of the way, and let's go ahead and see if we can't knock out this 170. Okay, the first thing we're going to do, take off the cover. Just a quick turn. Now, Don, when he sent this to me, told me that he couldn't get the spool to lock down. Every time he would cast it, it would unspin. And that's because the drag wasn't working properly, so that you couldn't tighten it down enough. But we've got it now. I think it's going to hold down just fine. I'll take that off. We're going to wind this out a little bit. All right. This spool on this is a moving spool. So we're going to bring it out to the front like that. It's very similar to the Shakespeare reels. We're going to rotate it, and it's going to unlock off of there. We'll take that off. Now we're going to go to the side, and somebody had really cranked this screw down really bad because it's reverse threaded. So if you want to take this off, go clockwise. And it looks like a screw, but it's actually a nut. Okay? Now, that's the funny part, is that one is reverse threaded, this one is not. Okay, so go ahead and take your drag loose. Okay. Now, we're going to take this nut loose. This is a 5/8. Or if it isn't 5/8, it's close enough that 5/8 works. All right, lift that off. Now this cap goes on here. By the way, it really helps to go out and print out the schematic for this. And that's what I did. So it helps to show where all the parts go. And it also showed me where parts were missing. All right. Now we've got that off. We've got that pulled out. Let's see. Now this will lift out like so. Sit it down here. And this part, if it will lift out right now, I'll go ahead and take it out. All right. Now, inside of here, we are going to find a washer and spring. And the other spring, or sorry, washer. Okay, so it should be a washer, a spring. Now, originally, this was missing these washers. And the original sleeve that was in this was crushed on each end from somebody tightening it down too much because the springs weren't in. All right. I removed that. This part, and this part came out of the parts reel. Oh, by the way, I'm going to show you the parts reel right now. So how'd you like that? Okay, now let's go ahead. We're gonna take this side cover off. Like so. That screw and that screw. Now with that off, your button will come off. Like so. And now you're down to removing the axle shaft assembly and this piece on the front. And none of this, nothing here can be removed at this point until you remove these two E-clips right here. Okay? And that is not necessarily an easy task. They're easy to lose. Okay? All right, there's one off. And I know I made that look easy, but trust me, the first time this was all covered in grease and you couldn't hardly see them, and it was not an easy task. And this one doesn't wish to rotate around for me to get hold of it. Get a smaller screwdriver. Now, once you get it over, hopefully you can get onto it. But you want to make sure you got your finger over it when you pop it off, or it's going to take off. All right, there we go. There's those two E-clips. Now with those out, what's going to happen is this part here will now slide out like so. All right. With that out, now oh, that's right. Now it's time to take this guy out. And this guy, I did not bend it because I knew I would be coming back. But this guy has a bend tab right here. Okay, we don't want to bend this too often, so this isn't something you want to do all the time. Usually you want to just come in here, kind of lubricate a little bit and be on your way. You have to bend this tab down if it's bent up along this flat right here. Once you've done that, then this assembly unscrews. Okay, when it unscrews, it now will lift out like so, bringing the gear with it. It also will bring this piece with it. Okay, all that, you can keep it all together. You can take it apart as you need to clean it. Now, your crosswind block comes out like so, and be careful with it, it's plastic. Somebody needs one, I have a spare, but they, be careful with it. All right, now all of this assembly is going to lift out, or most of this assembly is going to lift out to here. Okay, we're going to leave that all together right there, including that sleeve. Now you've got this gear left installed. This one will lift out like so. Okay, that's your drag washer. See, it locks into here. There's your anti-reverse right there. You can see how it works. Okay, but now underneath here, you've got a clip that holds this gear in place. Now you don't have to take the screws all the way out to remove this. All you have to do is loosen the screws and then slide this clip over to the side like that. Once you've done that, then you should be able to get hold of this and lift it out. Anti-reverse and all. Like so. Now all of that is ready to be cleaned and scrubbed. And I'm going to clean it one more time. This thing was really kind of out there, or at least the parts reel was. You saw what it looked like. And we're going to take it, wipe it down just a little bit, and get it back in service. And we're going to start reassembling. But when we do, we're going to go ahead and finish taking this assembly apart and this assembly apart so that you know how they go back together. Okay? So I'm going to pause for a minute while I wipe some things off. All right. We're ready to start assembling again. First off, we're going to move this assembly over out of the way because we're going to do it separately in a little bit. We're going to start off with this side plate stuff, everything that goes in here. Okay, that's going to start off with this gear and this anti-reverse dog and this crankshaft and this main gear. But we're going to get back to him. This guy is your other half of your anti-reverse. And note there's an anti-reverse wheel here as well. Okay. All right. So here's how this is going to work. We're going to start putting it together. We're going to start off with the crankshaft, with the anti-reverse, with the drag washer installed on it. Okay. Next, we're going to put the main gear. The main gear is going to fit right here on this side, like so. And it's not going to fit down in there very well because it's got this spring right here. That spring is your drag clicker. Okay, and it's going to click on these clicks right here. And when I first got this reel, that was all you would hear when you turn the handle was the click, 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 click of the drag. All right, because it was mangled, not working properly. Okay, next, we're going to go with the other drag washer. And let's see. Nope, we got those two like that. Now we're going to go ahead and put this piece back in the side. All right, we're going to go ahead. I'm going to use Cal's drag grease in this reel just because I want you to be able to see it. This reel's difficult to see inside what's going on. So I want you to see it, and I don't want it hidden by the normal dark grease that I use. Okay, we're going to install this anti-reverse dog, and these two pins right here, two flaps right here, they have to go on each side of this wheel or this cog. And let's get it on there. Like, come on, you can do it. There we go, like so. And then when it rides around, it'll catch like that. All right, so we're going to set this down in there. We got to make sure that hole right there sits on that post while this all fits in. So it goes down in the hole. That goes over that post, like so. Then you're going to slide this plate back over up under the screw so that you can tighten the screw down to hold it in place. Next comes this drag washer clutch assembly. It's going to fit right onto there like that. All right. Next is going to fit this guy, but it needs this collar installed in it. All right, let's do it the easy way. Bring the collar around, put it on the other side, like so. Then fit it back up through there like that. That'll hold it in place. We're going to slide that down inside there, like so. Time out, I'm going to pull it back out. I want to show you something. All right, on this side of this cog are these 2 points right here. This reel was missing this assembly right here. It fits on top of it. It's just a little metal plate, but I think that and the missing washers was just enough to cause the drag to be inoperative without super cranking it down, and that's what caused this reel to fail. All right, so we're going to glue that back on there with a little bit of grease, and we're going to slip all this back in. We're going to go ahead at this point, just so that all this doesn't fall out, and reassemble the rest of this side plate. All right. The next piece to go in is going to be the part that meshes up with the 2 pins on the other side. Okay, we're going to slide that in first. Slides down like so. Okay, you can rotate it, and you'll see it rotates so far each way, and it catches on those. Now, I'm going to slide this sleeve in. Slide it all the way down. Like so. Then goes the first of our 2 washers. These are keyed washers. They're keyed to the shaft, so they can't rotate. Then goes your spring. Then goes your next keyed washer, like so. Then is going to go this collar. This is rather odd because handles usually go on last, and in this reel, the handle goes on before this nut or your drag washer, which is different from most reels I've worked on. Go ahead, tighten down the nut. Remember, this will all still fall out because it doesn't have this on here yet. Okay, now all of that's together except for the screw that goes on the end of it, and that goes in reverse. Now we're ready to start putting all this other stuff back together. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to take this apart and wipe it off. This is our locking washer. It's going to go on the bottom. You've got this shaft. Now this shaft, when you first look at it, you're going to look at it and think maybe that it's the same on each side with just a collar in the middle. It's not. The short end is in a thinner diameter than the long end. If you try to flip it around the other way, it will not go in. Okay? So, short end goes to the front, like so. All right? This piece here is going to be riding around on the inside of that assembly. This is going to spin. This is our pinion gear. It's going to ride inside of here, like so. Sorry, got it backwards. There you go, like so. All right, and this piece goes in with the tabs facing out, like so. Next, we want to take our crosswind block, lubricate it, lubricate the crosswind on that crankshaft, and let's go ahead and set this in place like that. Now we're going to bring this piece up, slide that gold shaft or brass into that, and then start to screw this back in. Don't get too carried away. This gear may not mesh at first. You may have to rotate it a little bit to get that gear to mesh. Okay, as you screw that down, that gear is going to mesh. Now, turn it around this way and take a look at it. This keyway here has got to go on each side of the hole weight right there. That way, when you tighten it down, I'll try the 14. There we go. Go ahead and snug it down with the 14. Once you've got it snug, you don't want to over tighten it. Go ahead and bend this tab up like that. And that's going to lock that in place. Now, this is why you don't want to take this apart too many times in a row, because that tab's going to end up snapping off. Okay? Unless you got a source for another one, then you don't want to be doing that. You don't want to break it. Okay, we've got that in. Crosswind block is installed. Now, we got to take this oscillation plate and get it to go in. Let's go ahead and lubricate it first. Okay, we're going to slide that in. One hole on each side. Bring it down and get it to go into the crosswind block like so. All right. Once you're there, you're almost home. You've still got, though, to put in these two E-clips. And they are not easy to get in place. And I don't like grabbing them with needle nose, because if you hold them too tight, they tend to shoot right out of the needle nose. There we go. I got one in. Let's do the other one. There we go. That's got both C-clips in. Okay. Now that we've done that, we're ready to put this side plate back on with the button. And now this button, one of these I took apart. This little metal sleeve stayed in just fine, and then in the other one it did not. So be careful with it. You don't want to lose it. I'm gonna put a little grease on it, hoping it's gonna stay in the hole. I'm gonna back this out a little bit. Put some grease in there. Good, that held it in place. All right, set the button in place. Now you're gonna wonder what's gonna keep this button from coming out too far. If you look on the back side of this, there's a post. That post has to be in between this hook right here when you put it in. Otherwise, this button won't stay in. See, like that. So let's make sure that you have it under the post. And then get your screw in. Like that. Now the button's held. And this one is a little bit harder. I found I had to turn it upside down to align the hole. I can't seem to get it from the other position. All right. Now we're going to put the spool back on. Slide it down. These posts here have to go into these notches here. They go into the big ends, and then you rotate it clockwise. Okay. Bring it up. Make sure you got it good. Okay, now the parts reel that I had, when we would try to turn it, it would bind. Anytime it got to right here, it would bind. That was as far as you could go with it. And then it jammed the whole reel up. And the reason is somebody had dropped it and they had bent the frame in right here. Well, I made the mistake of trying to straighten that, and it just broke right out. What I should have done was taken my Dremel tool with a grinder and just slightly ground that out, and that body would have been fine. But that's not what I did, and I shattered the case. So fortunately, I bought it as a parts reel, and that's what it is. It's a parts reel. So, and they gave me parts for this one, and I didn't feel bad about using them. So now we're going to put this cover on, or the spinner on. Go ahead, tighten it down as far as you can until it starts doing that clicking. Okay, then come over here and rotate your handle to tighten it. Okay, if you try to sit there and keep turning that, it's just going to turn all day long and it's never going to tighten down all the way. Okay, then you've got your drag out here. Go ahead. All right, now when the drag is loose, you can hear that. That's the drag slipping. As you tighten the drag down, that goes away because now it's no longer slipping. If I had a line on here, we could put the line on and I can show you when it's working and when it's not. Okay, I'm going to back the drag off and we're going to allow Todd to set it the way he wants it when he gets it home. All right, so also let's go ahead and make sure that this is working. There's your pins out. Okay, hit the button, it comes up, pins go in, rotate it. Now, for some reason, the spinner that was on the parts reel, I tried it on here, or the one that was on here, I could not get it to work. This is the one off the parts reel. It works beautifully. The other one, no matter how much I cleaned it, lubricated, or whatever, it still would never drop the pins out every time. This one works fine. So I took it off the parts reel and put it on here, and there we go. So there you have it. There you have the Abumatic Garcia 170. And it feels like a really sweet reel. I'm hoping that he's going to like this. These are complicated little reels. They are not simple to work on. It took me, geez, I know an hour and a half just to get it apart, figure out how it all came apart and how to put it back together. And it's nice to know that I know how to do it now. And even then, I had to go back and refigure it out 3 days later. So if you liked the video, please hit the like button. If you didn't like the video, that's okay. I understand that. Hit the dislike button. Tell me why you didn't like it. That'd be great. And if you care to see more videos like this, please hit the subscribe button. And by the way, guys, I did put some reels out on eBay this week. First time I've tried that. And went through a whole week and didn't sell a one. They were a batch lot of, there was a South Bend, a Sears Roebuck, and a Daiwa. And I put them out there. They were, minimum bid on it was $3, and nobody bid on them all week long. So they've been relisted. Hopefully they'll go. What's killing them is that $16 shipping charge, but that's the, if it fits, it ships price for this box. And with the packing and stuff to go in it, that needs to be to protect them. That's kind of what I have to do. For now, that's Rick Stivers of Young Martin's Reels, signing out.